next 3 years until I was 21 years old, and I decided that this is really not what I want to do with my life anymore. The pain, the drugs, the use, there wasn't any arrest within that 3-year period until 21 years old, when I was heavily strung out on cocaine. I mean, I became my own best, customer. I get it, mix my stuff, think I'm selling, and selling to me. I'm in the hole, I'm owing people money, and at this time I got fears that I'm gonna get hurt, and I decided that it would be best for me to leave New York. So, with this insane thought pattern, I decided to, go visit a friend of mine who I actually worked for here, when I was younger, in Atlanta, Georgia. Maybe there's an opportunity for me there. So I get on the bus to go down to Atlanta, Georgia, and I had a pistol. I brought my pistol with me, and I had some marijuana, a couple grams of marijuana with me. And I remember getting off the bus in Baltimore, Maryland, and I wanted to get high. It's a long bus ride, and I'm an addict. So I got off the bus, I went on the side of the building, and I'm rolling my blunt, and I remember this man comes up to me and goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I said, "What do you mean what I'm doing? I'm rolling the blunt." And he said, "Oh yeah?" So he lets me roll my blunt. Interesting, right? And he says, "Why don't you give that to me?" I said, "What do you mean give this to you?" I said, "I'm not giving this to you." I said, basically, if you want to get high with me, you can. He said, "No, give that to me right now." And here you go, he pulls out his badge. He said, "Give that to me right now. Place your hands behind your back. You're under arrest." I said, "Oh my God, are you kidding me?" I said, I'm on my way. Take what I got. This is what I got. But that wasn't good enough for him. Got my baggage off the bus. Next thing you know, searches my bags. There's my loaded pistol. Now I'm going away. So I served a little bit of time in Baltimore, Maryland. What an experience. That was my first time actually being in the penal system of that nature. Being in a cell, being on a gallery, having all those feelings of, oh my God, this is not where I want to be. A living hell in itself, and being 21 years old, scared, thinking I was a tough guy when I'm actually not. So I served a little bit of time.
How long did you go for?
I was there for 37 days, got released, and then came home. Moved in with my father, who was still, an active addiction. At this time, him and my mother were divorced, and he had a new partner. So, I stayed with them for a little while, trying to get on my feet, get a little part-time job. That didn't work out too well because I was used to making more money than just what they were paying me at my part-time job. So I got back into the lifestyle, selling all over again. Eventually I had money, got my own apartment, doing drugs, heavy, cocaine, my own best supplier, fit right in like it was waiting for me. I came right back, it was waiting for me, got right in.
Didn't skip a beat.
Didn't skip a beat, 23 years old, heavily addicted to cocaine, marijuana, drink occasionally, thinking I was some type of mobster or something of the sort. And that's when it really took a turn for me. I had violent tendencies, take what I want type of thing. Just no remorse at the particular time. Hurting my family. I know I was hurting my family. Very, very distant. Just a very bad time for me. 23 years old. I ended up dating a woman who was just as toxic as I was in the lifestyle, and it became very violent and abusive. And one night I thought that I was again a mobster. Got in a fight with a couple men. Came back with my rifle, fired a couple rounds, and next thing you know, I'm incarcerated. This time, a lot more time. I found myself in the care and custody of the Department of Corrections with New York State, with 3.5 interim sentence and 5 years parole. Prison was a world outside of the world that I've ever known. Fear, loneliness, guilt. I had to feel these feelings that I wouldn't feel before because I was using. I was 1,000 miles away from home, surrounded by 1,000, 2,000 inmates in there, and I felt completely alone. Naturally, all the stories I've ever heard about prison, I was terrified. I mean, 23 years old, you know, kid. You know, all the stories I've heard, especially not being, I don't consider myself to be not too shabby looking. You know, maybe I would be somebody's fresh meat in there, I'm not sure. And, you know, and I managed to grow a little bit this time. Learning a little bit. I got into the weights, thinking that if I was big, people would mess with me and I would be intimidating. Actually, I didn't really know anything about anything. You know, I had a few fights when I was younger, but nothing really substantial to make a mark. I ended up finishing my term, coming home 2004, and thinking, you know, misleading myself, but this is disease, how sharp and cunning it is, thinking that I got things under control. I'm not going to use this time. You know, I'm actually going to try and work, but that became another addiction for me. I worked, I think, 2 to 3 jobs, tried to start my own little landscaping business, and became a workaholic. So I just flipped one addiction for the other, and not giving myself any breathing room. That didn't work out too well. Ended up using. Funny thing is that I thought that I could just use one time every now and then, and that was the biggest trick I ever played on myself. 90 days later, I found myself, you know, highly addicted to cocaine all over again. You know, smoking marijuana, and I violated my parole. And I actually called my parole officer and told them, and I was too ashamed or whatever to turn myself in. And I ended up absconding from parole, going on the run, and 90 days later they found me. And I was rearrested and incarcerated all over again for another year and a half. And this is where it really, really, really began to sink in on me, because at this time I'm 27 years old, and things are happening. I mean, some of my friends I went to high school, by then they're almost finishing college, you know, moving on with their lives, and here I am, GED. This is be my, you know, 3rd time, you know, 2nd time in the penitentiary, you know, history of these minor arrests and misdemeanors, and what am I doing with my life type of thing. Yeah, I know how to lift weights, but mentally I didn't have, there was no substance there. But then I really began to think, and this is where the magic began to happen, as I like to call it. Started reading. Never was a big reader, hated school. So I decided to read. What I was reading first, fantasy novels, to just get